Hello, my name is David Webb, and this is a video for Dweebovision. I am a Scrabble grandmaster, and in this video I am going to play Scrabble while providing in-game commentary on my moves. Hopefully this will help to improve your game, and be fun to watch. The game has just started, so let's join the action. It's me to go first. This looks a promising rack. I don't think I have a bingo. So I'm looking at playing billet. There isn't an obvious short word, which leaves a decent rack leave. I do not think I have a bingo here, but the F and the W ought to be playable together. And I wish to play them both for score and because they are non-bingo tiles. And I've also got the duplicate N that I'd like to resolve. The obvious way of resolving or dealing with all those issues is to play fawn. I could play fawns and billets, but that's probably playing off my S too cheaply. And flawn is also good, and that plays in column 6. Fawn currently plays at G8 across and also I8 across. I do have the news prefix and suffix, but the remaining letters are fan, so I don't think there is a bingo available with this rack. I'm looking to see if I have anything through the I of billet. But if I'm able to play off the F, the W and the N, or one of the N's, that would certainly be my preference. Okay, well, my opponent has taken my initial spot for flawn, but he's opened up the opportunity to score more in this spot, because the F gets doubled twice. 25 points, and ENS is a terrific rack leave. Well, through an M I would have sunbeams. I don't think unbases is good. I think sunbeats is good. Now the problem with that is that sunbeat may not take an S. I'm pretty confident about sunbeat and butanes, but sunbeat could be an adjective. At the moment sunbeats does play in column 9. So I have the ness suffix to consider, and also the U, the un prefix. Gosh, really not sure about sunbeats. I don't think it's good. I also have the sub prefix. Okay, well, I haven't seen a bingo I'm confident about yet. I need to make a decision as to whether flawn takes an S on the end, and I think it does. So, am I missing something? The E of billet is available as a floater because F takes an S after it. Now, if I don't bingo, what am I going to play? I'll want to play off the U and probably the B as well. Now my N can go at G5 to make Nef. Well, I could play nubs in row L, nubs and flawns. I don't particularly want to retain both S's. The second S is pretty neutral, which means if I can get one more point by playing it, other things being equal, I ought to. So nubs would leave a rack leave of EAS, which is vowel heavy, but A and E are pretty good tiles, and the S adds a lot of flexibility as well. I'm just wondering if Sun Beats has an anagram, as in... Oh, well, that's good. Sun Beats has been blocked, so I don't have the problem of playing that. I'm wondering if Sun Beats does have a legitimate anagram, but I'm not seeing it. So let me see what Nubs scores. "24 points. Not great, but I don't think there are a huge number of opportunities available on this board. Okay, well, one of the risks of retaining a vowel-heavy leave is that the condition worsens, and that has happened. And I've only got 1 point tiles. So I need to consider carefully how I'm going to play my way through this. AI is good. And well, Thai plays at M3. Well, this is the trouble you get into by having a suboptimal rack leave. Now I can place my E, one of my E's, after Axe. That's a way of getting score. So I could play tight. Let's see what this looks like. Now this is the rack leave, the vowel problem getting worse. I would really like to play off one more vowel. Can I do that? Do I have a word beginning TE? I certainly want to play off one of my I's. Wow, this is really, really tough. Well, I'm thinking about changing. I don't really want to block the billets hook, and I can leave myself a really good rack leave of EAST. Yeah, I think I'm going to change. I'm hesitating between retaining EAST and EIST. Well, certainly with the Q, it would have been nice to have the I. Gosh, this is tricky. Should I change again? Is there anywhere to play the Q? And well, I've got cat, so there probably is. There probably is. Yeah. Okay. Glad I didn't miss this little word. Cat, 28 points. That's certainly better than changing. And WEFS, not ideal, but the priority is to ditch the Q. Is there anywhere better for my Q? I could play cats in column 10, but that burns the S and doesn't score as much. Okay, another Grim Rack. I can play Flu at M1 across, FLUE, leaving EES. That's not too bad. 17 points. And the board's tight, which is good because it penalises my opponent as much as it penalises me. And we're neck and neck at the moment. The one really good bingo lane is column 10, pluralising billet. And I'm happy for that to stay open as long as I've got an S. Can't really see anywhere else other than row M to play Flu. And now that spot's been taken. Okay. So, looking at the scores, I'm 19 points behind. FEU is also good, but I can see nowhere to play that either. Warn doesn't take anything after it, and even though I've got a lot of vowels, it's not easy to see words which begin with vowels to play in row K. So, should I change? I think I will. Really can't see anything great to do with this. Well, there may be a bingo here, but I can't see it. Can't see a 7. There's probably a number of 8s, but there's only the floating T of billets and the floating N of worn. And I'm... okay, good. My opponent hasn't scored a lot. He's scored less than or fewer than 20 points. He's got a 36-point lead, so he's not out of sight. The U floater is not helpful with all the vowels that I have. So, how to play here? This is a really tough game, but it's good to have tough games. Now, I can play easel down here. It's quite an open board, but I'm behind, and I do have an S. So I'd like to keep the board open to maximise my chances of bingoing. 19 points, that's okay. Iodates and toadies, great. I'm definitely bingoing. I can bingo in row N rather, column 10, column 14. So a whole bunch of choices. Pretty sure my opponent can't block all of those. And I think this is really going to open the game up. Wherever I play a bingo is going to provide a whole bunch of floaters. Now what I would like is for my opponent not to bingo now and for me to gain the upper hand and then hopefully try and increase my lead. Easel takes a T and a W in front. So I'm just considering what the various bingos score. So I'm looking in column 10 now. Toadies and iodates both score the same. 71 points. In row N, toadies and iodates will not get doubled, so that's going to be inferior. And likewise in column 14. Although U's takes an E after it. Actually, so I could play iodates. Great, only 12 points. Yeah. I could play toadies, in fact. Down here, let's see what this scores. £81 points. 81 points, but providing a very easy opportunity for my opponent in column 15. It's very dangerous putting a vowel next to a triple word square. So 81 points, and the alternative so I did have 81 points available. And this is 71. And toadies is slightly better for the vowel next to the double word square. So I am going to take the sacrifice of 10 points. I don't think my opponent will score anything like as highly off this play. Not a great pickup, but when you're drawing 7 random tiles, it rarely is. But it's pretty easy to play through. Play of fag or fog will get rid of 2 of the problem tiles, and the remaining G has got the N for synergy. Not that I've identified anywhere yet to play fog or fag. Well, I could play Fango in row D through the A of toadies, 18 points. And I could play Fango in column 11, parallel to toadies. Exactly where my opponent's just played. Great spot by him. A 6-tile overlap. He is now 42 points ahead. Ooh. Fango nearly fitted, but Fang does. Look at this. $36 points, which is a good score. I am leaving the G without the N for support. Is that the best I can do? I think it's pretty good. 36 points with this rack is quite good. Wow. That's promising. Okay, I'm waiting for the 7-letter bingo to pop into my head, and it hasn't happened yet. Surely there's a 7 here. Well, I feel there is a 7. There certainly isn't a word ending ing. Towings is not good, spelled with an E. This will be a hugely high probability bingo if there is a 7 here. And if there is a 7, it's certainly playable in both columns, because there are places to play it in columns 14 and row N. I'm 6 points behind at the moment, but my opponent is on turn. Through a T I would have tentigos. This is such a good rack that it probably plays through quite a lot of two-letter tile combinations, but there aren't many or any of those available on the board. Through an E I would have egestion. Well, let's see if my opponent can oblige with a floater. Orf takes an E after it, so it's quite attractive to play down column 13. Okay, no floaters there, so is there a 7? Can't see anything beginning with a J. Sorry, with an E. I've got 10 minutes left, nothing with a J. Nothing with an I. Nor an N, nor an O. Okay, well, I can't see it. There might be something there and I can't see it. Certainly be enormously annoying if I'm missing something. So, do I play in column 13, G-O-E? Or can I play in row A, a word beginning with the M of Marline? Well, Minge plays 27 points, leaving S-O-T. That's nice. Three O's left and only 3 E's. Ah, well, what about playing Tog across here? This has got quite a lot going for it. It provides an extra floater in the G, or 2 floaters in the G and the O. The G is good because I've got IN on my rack. EINS is a pretty fabulous rack leave. And Teasel takes an S on the end, so I've got row N for bingos with an S. Yeah. And 18 points isn't huge, but the rack leave is a lot better than after Minge. Ooh. Deckings. Yep, pretty sure Deckings is good. That plays in column 15 through the G of Tog. And Snicked. Dickens and Snicked. Dickens plays in row N, Deckings in column 15. Fantastic. When I first saw this rack, I was disappointed. I thought there wasn't a bingo here, but it looked as too consonant heavy. But there is a playable bingo, so that's great. There isn't a bingo which pluralizes Teasel. I'm sorry, Dickens does. Okay, now Mouth blocks Deckings, so it is Dickens. Ah, and the K goes on the triple letter square. This should take the lead. 81 points. Just checking that there's nowhere else where Dickens plays. Nope. Not a great pickup, and this is quite a significant point. I am only 45 points ahead, and there is a massively hot spot in row O at 08 with the vowel above the triple word square. My opponent could easily score 40 and 50, and I don't have a rack which is great for coming back with a big score. And I'm a long way from a bingo. Both blanks are unseen, and looking at the remaining tiles at the bottom of the screen, they're not hugely bingo-y, but with 2 blanks unseen, there will be plenty of bingos available. If my opponent doesn't bingo in row O, I will certainly be closing down that lane, because the G in Tog is not great, is not particularly useful as a floater, because a word ending ing or ings can no longer be played as a result of Mouth. Now I do have quite a few words on my rack. I have hive and hove and have. But there isn't a huge number of places to play them. Well, I suppose I could play hive. Great. Only 48 points and a blank is burned. I'm 3 points behind, but I'm on turn. 7 tiles in the bag. Now I was thinking of playing hive in column 5. It does provide 2 floaters, and hive takes a C and an S in front, but there are no C's or S's, so the blank would have to be one of those, so it's not as dangerous as it otherwise might be. The problem with playing hive in column 5 is that my opponent could have a big score with the J or the W coming down from A4. So I'd like to play something a little less dangerous. I'm looking at J14, the triple letter square next to the A of Teasels. I don't really want to retain the duplicate I. So, I've got 6 minutes left, 7 tiles in the bag. I'm not short on time. If I played he in this spot, 34 points, that's a good score, given that I'm 3 points behind. The rack leave's pretty awful, but the V is a good scoring tile in the end game, and it goes well with vowels, so I should be able to score. Having said that, I feel that there is probably a better play than he. Ah, and I think I've seen it. Great. Just in time. Hoy across here. 26 points. Not as many points, but the rack leave is a lot better, much more balanced. And I draw the J. Juvie is good, that plays in column 5. I also have it on my rack. 30 points if that spot remains available. I'm looking at the tiles that are left. The blank is still unseen, but it's not a hugely bingo-y set of letters. There's only one E, there are no S's, and more to the point, there are very few opportunities on the board, really. It's just the floating G of Tog, which my opponent blocks. Great, and he's not blocked Juvie. There are no tiles left. He has got 7 on his rack. I am 7 points behind. So let's look at Juvie. Now, the only consideration here for me is whether my opponent can bingo through any of these tiles. He can't bingo through the J. Gosh, I don't think he can bingo through the U. Don't think he's got anything through the V. Okay, through the U, up rating would play if it were in a different spot. Yeah, pretty sure nothing through the V. So is there something I haven't considered through the U? Don't think so. Don't think so. If he can't play an ing ending word, and he can't, then that's not a great set of tiles. And the other spot he could play is in column 15 through the G of Tog. But double E only takes an N. Well, it takes an L and an N after it. Yeah, I think Juvie's going to be enough. And then after Juvie, I've got a double E, and I could play Agi through the J of Juvie. Do I have a second out? Well, I don't think I need to look for one, because I think Juvie is such a good play that even if I don't have an out, it's likely to be best. Although very difficult to make claims like that with confidence. I'm 7 points behind. This would put me 23 points in front. Very tricky. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I've got Eve in row D through the V of Juvie, so I've got plays through both the J and the V. It'll be difficult for my opponent to block both of those. But he could play down in column 6 if he's spotted that. He could play gap. Actually, that doesn't work because gape is good. In fact, all of the AP words, gap, rap and tap, take an E. My opponent's got 7 minutes on his clock. Be so good to find an alternative out. Ah, and there is one. Oh, fabulous. Row E, I'm pretty sure Edine is good. A-E-D-I-N-E. Pretty sure that's good. My slight concern with that is that it's a 6-letter word, so it's not going to be a word I specifically studied, but I don't think it would have popped into my head with such certainty if it was not good. Edine. Doesn't score very much, but I think if my opponent only gets to play once, then any outplay will win. A G is also playable with a spellable with a G as well as a J, but it doesn't play in column 15. Now, looking at these three choices, Adine, 7 points, a G, 13, Eve, 14. So Eve is best if they all remain available. I expect my opponent is looking for a bingo with the J, U and V, but I don't think he's going to find one. If he does, then juvie will certainly have been a mistake. I don't think my opponent can block all three of my outs. Yeah, he can't, so I certainly am going out if he doesn't bingo. I guess the other thing my opponent could do, which would win for him, would be to score enough with a non-bingo play. So possibly a play from J, 15 down, onto the end of add. Add takes an O and a D, and an S. Just looking to see if I can see such a play. And I don't think I can, but supposing there was, supposing he had a play with the P on the double letter square at L15, about 35 points, 392, it's not going to be enough. So that spot doesn't win for him. And the next likely higher scoring spot would be row D through the V of juvie. But again, I don't think that's going to score enough. My opponent has 3 minutes left. I think I will keep recording while this runs down. Rem in the bottom left takes a C and a P in front of it, and my opponent does have a P, but that's not going to score enough. I'm just looking again at the floaters in juvie in case there is a bingo. The U is the most promising tile, but apart from up rating, I can't see a bingo. Grip tape would be playable through an E, but there is not an E available. So just over 2 minutes left for my opponent. He's in a pretty difficult position because with the with the blank and a balanced rack, it looks like there may be something there, especially with the floaters in juvie being available. So he's certainly doing the right thing in using all of his possible thinking time. Just wondering what I would do if I was in his shoes. Great, there it goes. So, Eve is playable. 20 points, scores more than Edine. And it ends the game. Just waiting for my opponent to formally end the game, which he does. And the final score, 379 to my opponent, 408 to me, a winning margin of 30, well, not 31, 29 points. Let's see what I missed. Right, so, me to go first. No missed bingo there. Billet looks fine, although possibly, no, not possibly blent, because the Li is not a good keep. Flawn, that looks best. Okay, well, I still don't know about Sunbeats since that was blocked. What did I play here? Well, I played nubs for 24. Yeah, some of those other plays may have been slightly better, but not hugely. This is where I changed. Possibly tight for 17, keeping AEIS was better than changing. The change certainly didn't pay off. This is a pretty awful rack. I was fortunate to have a decent spot for the cue. What did I play here? Oh, well, I changed again. Okay, so where are these moves being played? Felter. Ah, Felter and Axe. Yeah. Okay, I think probably those plays are better than changing. So I was probably a little trigger happy with changing on that rack. Easel, that looks fine. And this is where my rack did finally become bingo-y. And Toadies and Iodates were the only playable bingos. Great spot by my opponent, Marline, fabulous 6-tile overlap. Fang, C12. Oh, okay, that's what I played, jolly good. My opponent did have the blank at this point. Now, this is the moment of truth. Have I made a howler? No, phew. This must be a rack which doesn't make a bingo. What did I do? Tog. Okay, I like Tog. The rack leave of EINS was pretty fabulous. And look at the rack leaves of the other plays, significantly inferior, even though they are scoring more. So I still like Tog. Dickens, yep, that was quite a critical move in the game. You can see there that although my opponent has the blank, or had the blank, the rest of his rack was pretty atrocious. And mine was not great. Havior places the H in a triple lane, so that's not good. Although it is a nice word. He is the play I considered in column 14, but the rack leave isn't great. But the score is really good, so maybe that was better than Hoy. And it does have the advantage of taking out the G of Tog bingo lane. Eve Jar, well, again, not good because it opens up a triple and Jiver and Juvie. Possibly Jiver better than Juvie because EAU is a 3-letter word and it has an anagram of AUE. Let's see if my opponent had anything here. No, he did not. And Eve was the best outplay and Adine was good. So that was a really tough game. it was a tight board and I had tricky racks. I changed twice, that's pretty unusual, and overall it was pretty grim struggle, but it's good to have games like that. Certainly when you win, it all feels worthwhile, and I was fortunate enough to have Dickens playable at just the right time, and my opponent was not in a position to come back with a bingo. So I hope you enjoyed watching that, and thank you for watching. So my name is David Webb. This has been a video for Dweebovision.